Guest this morning is Erica Lynn, and she is of Erica Lynn Speaks. And she says, I specialize in motivating those who are held by limitations. I am Erica Lynn. Fear, doubt, and those who just want change. I am Erica Lynn. I understand the challenge of having weakness. I too had to overcome them, and after I did the healing work on myself, my test is now a testimony. I told you whatever you put after am becomes your reality. I am Erica Lynn. I am an author, keynote speaker, and podcast host, motivating people all over the world into using proven healing techniques that will help you take one step beyond you. I am Erica Lynn. I am the happiest I've been. I have been living my dreams and helping people overcome weaknesses. I was a young mother at 17. I now have 3 wonderful, amazing children whom I've learned great lessons from. I lived in my past for many years, being ashamed of the choices I've made. After I took it all to God and began to do the necessary work of healing myself, I no longer live the life of being tested. I now live the life of being a testimony. I am Erica Lynn. Erica Lynn, good morning and welcome to the Reading Circle microphones.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Such a wonderful introduction. I really like that.
No problem. I love doing the intros and bios, and in many instances, a lot of my guests will say, oh, don't read the whole thing, don't do that. And I say, no, because I want someone to be inspired. I want somebody to say, if Erica can do it, I can do it. If it can happen for Erica, it can happen for me. So that's why I like to read however long or however short it is. And I really do like to put some emphasis on it because I want folks to know who our guest is for the day. So, all right, let's go kind of sort of from the beginning in terms of how did you get started in this work?
Okay. Well, I got started because I had to go through a healing process and a healing journey that really could have determined my fate as to me hitting rock bottom and not coming back, staying down, sad, depressed. And when I was coming and when I was going through the healing journey of feeling abandoned from my father leaving, on to being abused from a neighbor as a child, to having low self-esteem, being a female dancer, just experiencing a 10-year abusive marriage. And ultimately, without healing those things, I hit rock bottom. And so in my journey through healing, I developed and learned these 7 techniques that helped me. So as I came through it and overcame it, I said, wow, if this helped me, just imagine if I can put it in a way that's effective enough that it can help many others as well. And so on the precipice of coming out, someone has said to me, so now you have made it to where you want to be. Now what do you want to do with your life? And I said, I want to be a motivational speaker, a transformational coach, a podcast host, and I want to be an author of a book. And so they encouraged me to not just talk about it, but to actually do it. And so that's how I came into doing what I do, just taking a leap in faith and walking out with God and saying, okay, I could do this. And that's how I got started.
The title of Erica's book is 7 Techniques of Healing: How I Overcame Abuse to Live My Authentic Life. Now, those of you here who listen faithfully or listen regularly, you should pick up on a trend or a pattern. That is many of my guests, more so my females than my males. Not to say that the males haven't been on, but many of my female guests have been either in abusive relationships or have been molested or raped or what have you. And for them, a lot of them, the writing process becomes cathartic. But this whole notion of having to be healed or either gone through depression or abuse, that's real. And many are suffering with that in silence. They're not telling anyone. They're not letting anyone on. They're not letting anyone know that they're being abused or in abusive relationships or what have you. And you really can't move forward until some type of healing takes place. And Erica, what you're saying is you have a 7-step or 7 techniques of that?
Yes, sir.
How did you come up with those, or what led you to those, or I usually ask folks, did they intend to be a writer whenever they were younger? But you kind of explain that in your opening. So where did the 7, and that's a divine number, 7 in and of itself. So, how did you come up on your 7 techniques?
Well, first, let me go back to make it clear. No, I did not want to be a writer. I did not like writing, and I've never passed an English class before. My teachers would ask me to write a paragraph, and I would totally hyperventilate, seriously. And I went back to college at 35 years old. And when I was in college, of course, you have to write papers. And I remember that I needed to pass a particular semester so that I can get my refund check, so that I could pay the bills for my kids. But my brain just totally fogged up, and I couldn't write these papers. So what I ended up doing was having to ask my daughter, whom is an excellent writer, and she writes a lot of my pieces for me, and my niece, whom was in college. She was going to Duke at the time, and she had just graduated from Duke. And I asked them, I said, can you guys write these 2 papers for me, and I'll pay you out of some of this return money that I get, right? So to make a long story short, they wrote the papers. I passed the class, got the refund check, and my niece called me to say, hey, Auntie, do you have that money for me? I need to put a deposit down on the nursing program in New York. So it all kind of turned out to be a blessing in disguise, right? But
that's right. In other words, the money actually was used in a cycle that actually was educational all the way around.
Absolutely. And she's a traveling nurse now, travels all over the world, and we're in one of the frontline workers that's helping in COVID. So shout out to my niece, Catrice, and to my daughter, Deja, for helping me get to this point.
I know that's right. But as I was saying a couple of minutes ago, this area that we're talking about this morning is so prevalent. I mean, I didn't realize till a few years ago the percentage. Like if I were to kind of do a percentage of my guess, probably somewhere between 60 to 80% of them have written books have been based on or because of having gone through these experiences. And that's and the reason I keep highlighting that for those in the listening audience, because I know there's someone out there that's been through these experiences as well. And I know there's something because, and again, when you get into the African American community, we feel like, it's some type of a stigma to either get some type of therapy, some type of help, some type of, counseling, some type of something. We kind of shy away from that. But that is so needed. Otherwise, you stay stuck.
Yes, absolutely. The reason why or how the 7 techniques were, I was able to write them down because when I went through the step-by-step process, right, everything that we do in life is a process.
Correct.
And if you skip the process and you just go straight to the benefits, then you're going to have to repeat the process all over again. You know how God makes us repeat a cycle over and over again until we learn that lesson from it. So the process is simply this. You have to heal first, right? Out of the 7 techniques, we're going to go through them. You have to heal first. And how do you heal? You have to identify what the root cause is of your issue, what the root cause is of your trauma, what the root cause is of that pain, whether it's divorce, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whether it's you were abused, or simply you could have lost your job, and that could have been a traumatic experience for you. Your house could have went in foreclosure, or you could just have unruly children. And the one thing that we don't really touch on is the woman that you spoke on earlier, the woman that she's the mom, the wife, the CEO, the carpool karaoke mom. She does it all. And when you ask her how she's doing, she has her mask on, or she's living the imposter syndrome by saying, I'm fine. But
That's
really,
right.
in the inside, she's dead. She's hurt. She feels like nobody loves her. Does anyone actually hear what I'm saying? Does anybody think about me? Just do something nice for me, because she's wearing so many hats, spreading herself so thin, doing something for everyone else other than addressing the issues that's inside of her, that she's hurt, she's broken, she's not getting the attention that she needs, she's not getting the love that she needs, the things that make her feel like a woman so that she can wear all the hats and do all the things that she's doing. So we help address those issues and help walk her through a process so that she can get what she needs along with everyone else when they're going through that healing journey. So when we talk about healing, I don't want everybody to think that healing necessarily is only prefaced to somebody who has been in a traumatic experience
Correct.
of, death, abuse. Healing is on so many levels for so many people, and it means so many different things to different people. So after you go through the healing process, you've identified, you've learned some of the techniques, you've gotten your support system. Now you have to educate yourself on what you need. And as you said, a therapist, because in the Black community, they don't like to get therapists. There's a stigma against therapists. Like, you think it makes you crazy.
Right.
But if you think about it, some of the most richest people, some of the most successful people that you see on TV, they have therapists, coaches,
Correct.
people to help keep them sane. Because how can they come and be a benefit and bless the world with their gifts and talents and things that they do without being able to communicate and share with someone, the things that they're going through, to dump, to unload, unleash the things that's inside of them on someone. So getting a therapist is not a bad thing. I encourage you, if you want somebody to talk to, get a therapist. Now, in addition to that, if you say, I don't want a therapist, I just want somebody to walk with me, then you can get a coach. Get a coach that you can pretty much get the same things from a coach as you would through a therapist.
Correct.
But the difference is the coaches, they can't prescribe you medication if you need medication. But also they will walk with you. And then after helping you go through your healing journey, then they're going to be able to take you to steps beyond your healing journey. So a therapist only is there to listen to you, help you, guide you. So, in a certain purpose, but a coach is going to ultimately take you to the next steps, additional after you go through your healing process.
Now, Erica, you brought up two extremely good points, and that is the whole notion of the therapist for the wealthy and those who are successful and famous. If they can get a therapist, then why wouldn't? I mean, other than maybe, and I don't know in terms of what a therapist costs per hour, the benefits, so it would make a little sense that a wealthy person could do it. But at the same time, they are willing to do it versus, little peons like me and you, or, everyday Joe and Jane, particularly African-American Joe and Jane, are reluctant to do it. And that was a very good point you just made, that if that's what's keeping them successful and saying, why wouldn't we want to do the same thing? That's A. Secondly, this whole notion you just talked about, well, okay, you want to get a therapist, you want to get a coach. Do folks realize that the best in the world have coaches? Serena Williams has a coach. Tiger Woods has a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. I mean, you name it, the best of the best, the GOATs as they call them, the greatest of all times, they all had coaches. So again, why wouldn't we now be amenable to having a coach?
Right. So to start with question A, because it's something about this stigma. I don't know if it happened before we even came along. Like if our parents said, hey, you know what I mean? If the generation before us put a bad stigma on going to see therapists, or if it was like something that happened back then that, if you go to see a therapist, then they're going to put you in a crazy home or an institution to automatically drug you up. You know what I mean? So I really do not know where that stigma came from, but it had to come from before we came here, because all the people that I know, they're like, hey, let me get a therapist. And then let me say this, granted, it costs a lot. However, but insurance covers it, because mental health, mental wellness is very important in today's society. Jobs, the companies that we work for, they know that you can't be productive for them if you are not mentally stable. So most insurance packages covers so many visits for you to go see a therapist.
Good
Even
point.
Medicaid, so if you don't have a job or health insurance through your job, Medicaid welfare definitely covers for you to go see a counselor or a therapist. And so I encourage people to look into your insurance package, call your insurance company, and find out what your insurance covers so that you can go and visit a therapist. And so that would be, that would be my best advice for that one.
I could not agree with you more. And historically, I mean, with African Americans, based on the history, based on, slavery times and the medical community experimenting on us, I can kind of sort of see where we kind of come from with that. But at the same time, if you need help, get the help. I mean, just find somebody that you trust and find somebody that has a good reputation that is not, a shyster or a charlatan or who really is a con artist or whatever. But if you get a reputable doctor, and the thing is, at this stage in the game, there are African-American counselors. There are African-American therapists. So if you're more comfortable with that, seek one of them out.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then the next statement you made, question you asked was about coaches. Coaches are so important because, as one of my coaches, the lovely Pam Perry, had stated to me, when you get in a coach, they help shorten your learning curve.
Correct.
So in other words, where it might take me to go to school for 4 years to learn all the things that I've learned through the pandemic, my coach helped shorten that time span. I've learned so much in 2020 that I've probably learned in a long time, okay? And when you get a coach, you don't just get one coach. I have 5 coaches.
Right. I know that's right.
And a therapist. Let me clarify. I had a therapist and 5 coaches. But at the beginning of the pandemic, my therapist, I guess she done quit and ran, so now I got to find someone else. So it is so important to get someone that can coach you, because ultimately you
Correct.
go to them and you're transparent to them. Hey, I got this issue. This is what I want to accomplish. This is my goal. I need this fixed. I suck at this. Like, don't go to the coach and be like, I'm just a bomb. I got it.
Right. Right.
The coach is going to look at you like, well, what do you need me for?
That's
You're
correct.
going to the coach telling them all of the weak areas that's inside of you, all the weak things that you need. So for me, I was very clear with Pam and my writing period. I still struggle. Even
Right.
though I can write, that writer's block still, hits me. So what did I do? I hired people to help me write. Although I wrote the book myself,
Right.
clear, but I have to do magazines and I'm on TV a lot. I'm doing different media
Right.
excerpts, and I don't have time, or I just don't have the brain power ultimately to write all the articles. So I provide them with all of my material, all of my words in the way that I would just speak to my homegirl, so to speak. And then, of course, they rewrite it in a way that is legible to go into a magazine.
I know that's right. So listening audience, I hope you've been with me since 6, but I certainly hope you've been with me since 7. My guest this morning is Erica Lynn. We're talking about her book, 7 Techniques of Healing, How I Overcame Abuse. Now, I'm looking at the 7 steps. We have heal, educate, action, leap, inspire, need, and growth. The therapist and the coach, is that all a part of heal, or does that merge into educating as well?
That merges into educate.
Okay, so that's part of step 2 and educate. All right, so heal, educate, action, leap, inspire, need, and growth. Now I'm looking at See, I'm a wordsmith, and I can see an acronym there: HEALING. Healing. Okay, all right. Now you work that out. And what I mean by that, folks, is if you take the first letter of each word of each chapter, whenever you take that first letter of the acronym, it comes up to the word healing. So we talked a little bit about heal, and I guess you kind of went sort of into educate. Is there anything else in terms of educate you're speaking of? Because another point you brought up was this whole notion of denial. I mean, one of the things there's a book written by, I think Reverend William Watley wrote the book, but I know my pastor says it all the time, and that is, you got to face it to fix it. So this whole notion of denial, or like you said earlier, I'm okay, everything's fine. No, it's not. You have to acknowledge it and then start working on it. So is that part of the education as well?
Well, yes, they go with both. You know, when you're healing, you're identifying these areas. So you've learned that this is like something that I have to deal with. Like you said, you have to acknowledge it. And because ultimately what happens is many people deal with traumas like when they were younger, and they grow up and they forget about it.
Correct.
How many people do you know? How many people have you met or heard of that don't even remember being abused or touched by somebody, but it happened?
Right.
They don't remember. What they do is they put it in their subconscious brain.
Correct.
What I always say is you throw it in the back of your brain and you forget about it. And how you forget about it is you cover it with everyday life.
Correct.
Because you gotta live, you gotta work, you gotta go to school, you gotta stay safe. So you do all of these things, job, work, life, kids, all of that covers that memory, and you forget about it. But what happens is later on in life, in your adult life, it resurfaces. Oh, and when it resurfaces, it hits you hard.
Bingo.
This is what he means by you have to acknowledge it. So now you got to go back and you got to fix and face that fear that you buried in your subconscious so that you can address it and heal from it, so that you can move forward and continue on through the seven techniques. Because if you don't acknowledge it or don't address it, then how can you heal from something that you don't acknowledge?
No, and you're right. And what happens is it internalizes and it festers, and you start doing things or treating people and you don't even know why you're doing it. And come to find out it's because of that buried injury. Because of whatever you've buried, you're not acknowledging. And not to mention, we can get into that as well. That will also cause physical illness. When you bury something like that, it not only does things with you mentally, it will cause physical sickness. And you're wondering, well, why do I have this? It's exactly what you just said. You haven't acknowledged a trauma or something that you've gone through in your past. You haven't worked on that to fix that, and now it's causing other problems. So yes, because I heard you say something about getting at the root. That's part of the education. You got to get, okay, where did this start? What caused it? So forth and so on. And then now your third step was you got to take some action. Because it's nice that you want to heal. It's nice that you've acknowledged. It's nice that you've gotten educated. But if you just sit on that and you do that's as far as you go, then you're still not going to get too far.
Correct. Because if you don't do anything about it, what good is it for you to heal and educate yourself and learn all these things? Then you're just going to do nothing about it. That's just the same with. I always like to use weight loss as an example. It's a person who understands that they need to lose weight, right, so that they can be healthy. So they understand that all this weight that's on you is causing you problems. So now you've identified what is the area of what is causing the weight loss, right? What is causing you to gain weight. In other words, something traumatic or something happened to you in your life, or you just simply lazy and don't want to eat right. So now you went to the doctor gave you all the information that you need. So that's part of the education. You got to exercise, you got to eat right, you got to eat right, you got to drink plenty of water. So now you get to step 3 and you just lay on the couch and look at TV and continue to eat. You didn't take any action. You didn't do anything about it. So that's the same thing with healing yourself. You have to be willing to take action in order to get the results. I always tell people it is a lot of work when you're going through the healing process. You have to be willing to do the work that is required. So that means that if you have to scream, yell, cry, fall to your knees, but get it all out, like you have to get it out. And it takes a lot of energy for you to go through the healing process. But I tell you, once you go through the process, you're going to be able to look back at the story or that trauma that you went through and go, man, that was a heck of an experience. Or that divorce. God dog it, I can't believe I stuck it out with that fool. And then you can laugh about it. You know what I mean? You'll be able to laugh about it. The weight no longer holds you down. Like you're
That's
no
right.
longer stuck in an emotional bondage that you can't move from. Like that is part of the process that is moving you now from being stuck to going to being unstuck. So what my favorite thing is that I say to people, Mark, is this equation. Going through the 7 techniques of healing ultimately helps you solve an equation, which means healing plus playing big equals to you playing bigger. So what that
Oh, there
means
you
is
go.
when you're going through the healing process, that means that you've identified the core essence of who you really are so that you can resolve and obtain the results that you want. Now, when you add that healing process with playing big, meaning that now you started going back to school at age 60 years old, or you sat at the first entry level of your job for so long, and you're tired of being here and you really want to do something else, or you saying, I'm tired of working for someone else, or you're tired of being in dead-end relationships, or as we talked about the woman who's broken, you're tired of being broken in this family and you're ready to take the mask off. So when you heal and you begin to take the steps to playing big, that equals to you playing bigger than you have ever played before in your life, meaning that now you're no longer at the entry level of that job. You told your boss to her face, I'm coming for your job. You said to yourself, I'm no longer going to work for someone else. I'm going to take a leap of faith and start my own company. You're no longer going to stay in this household that your voice is not heard, that you're just dying on the inside and nobody know that you're dying on the inside. And now you're becoming a valuable member and a valuable player of this family. And what's most importantly, you begin to put yourself first so that you can love yourself. You can't take care of nothing and nobody else in your family if you have not taken care of yourself first. So that is what the 7 techniques of healing allows you to do to solve this equation of healing plus playing big allows you to play bigger than you've ever played before in your life.
And it's interesting because I heard you say how it takes a lot of energy. But what people don't understand is the payoff on the other end. Yes, it does take a lot of energy. And as that old saying says, anything worth having is worth working for. And so it's not going to be easy. And if you think it's going to be easy, but the payoff and in terms of what you get out of it on the other side, because again, those things, those issues that are buried, because I want to talk a little bit about depression before we move on. A lot of people don't understand depression is an illness. It's not somebody just deciding, you know what, I think I want to be depressed today. It's not that, but depression comes from all those things that have been buried. It is now in your psyche. It is now in your spirit. It is now into your mental, to the point now where you can't control it. It controls you. Mm-hmm. And so now your way out of that are to do these things that Erica is talking about right now. The acknowledgement, getting to the root of it, educating yourself on it. Because see, I'm the type of person, I'm not necessarily a hypochondriac. However, if I think that I'm coming down or if I have something, I'm going to research the absolute heck out of it. I want to see how many different remedies there are. I want to see what alternatives I have. Can I do something holistic versus, when the doctor prescribes something I have to go to the drugstore for? I'm going to read that educate piece. I'm going to research the daylights out of whatever the ailment I think it is. And now you're saying you got to take some action. And like she said, you can't just sit there and go to the doctor. He give you the details and the outline of what you need to do to lose weight, and then you go sit on the couch. No, you can't do that. You got to take some action. But now there's another step, and I heard you mention it just now, and that was LEAP.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about. I want to talk about depression, but I also go ahead with LEAP, and before it's over, we'll talk about depression. But go ahead, talk about LEAP.
Okay. Well, simply what LEAP is that you're going to take a leap of faith, right? You're going to do things different than you have ever done before. You're going to begin to change your mindset because as you're going through the process, right, things in your life started changing. You started changing. And so now you want better things. You want more for yourself, and it's time for you to take a leap of faith, take action. You see, there's a little insert in the LEAP chapter that I'll share with you and your audience, if you don't mind.
Oh, by all means, please.
It says this: Now you must begin to develop and nurture your idea. It is like a flower. You must water it and take care of it. Give it sunlight. Talk to your plant. Give it life. You should know that the moment you stop nurturing your flower, the leaves will begin to wilt away. As soon as you add water and sunlight, it will sprout right back up. Don't allow your ideas in life to become a wilted flower. Keep watering and nurturing your idea until it becomes what you want it to become. If you look back and think about the things you have walked away from in order to arrive at this point of healing, you will realize that these circumstances moved and allowed you to think about how to put the pieces of your life together. This was done in order to consider starting a business, applying for a new job, going after that promotion, losing weight, finding love, while being present with your family. Always remember that success is what you make out of it. What you put in is what you get out. Do not allow someone else to define what your success is or should be. Instead, go forward and take that leap into your visualized greatness. When you see the dream or vision, make sure it's big. Make sure the aim is high and imagine all the possibilities. One day, you're going to look up and discover that leap you took, God had a plan for it. Do not walk, leap into your greatness.
I know that's right. Now, okay, let me see. Was that, did you consider that a poem?
No, I wrote that.
Oh,
I wrote
no, the reason I'm asking,
book.
because, all right, so would you use that in spoken word?
I could. I never thought about it like that.
Well, the reason, because it sounded like that, and the reason I'm saying that is because rather than clapping my hands, I'm going to snap my fingers like they do in spoken word shops. Because that's what it felt like to me. It was like, I mean, that was right on point. So I'm like snapping my fingers, and you can hear it on the air. That's what they do in the poetry shops and the spoken word shop. They don't clap their hands; they snap their fingers. Right on point, right on time. If you don't have the faith, I mean, okay, just going through your 7 steps alone for many would be a leap. Okay, to start your healing process, your 7-step process for many would be a leap of faith, because right off the bat they would have to be saying, I don't know if this is going to work for me or not, but I have faith that it will. But once you've now done the healing, you've done your education piece, and you've now started taking some action, you do now have to put in your mind, where am I going with this? And then once again, what am I going to have to do to make whatever it is or wherever I'm going happen? And that is going to require a leap of faith. Yeah. So then the next one is, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the next one is inspire, because I have a feeling where this is going in terms of inspire, because now, and that's what I believe that's what you're doing. Now you've kind of gone through your process, and this is, applicable to you as well. Everything that we go through isn't always for us. Whatever our hardships are, and you were mentioning that in the various commentary in the book about the difference between test and testimony. Everything that we go through, even though we think it's about us, really is not. It is, though, about how we can help somebody else who either is going to go through or is going through at the moment. And that's where I have a feeling when you say inspire, and I could be wrong, you correct me if I'm wrong, but talk to me about inspire.
Well, inspire simply means that now that it's so important for you to change your thought process.
Right.
Shift your mind. You always hear people say, let's do a mind shift. Let's do a mind shift.
Right.
So doing a mind shift, now we're not talking about negative things, right? Because I believe in the laws of reciprocity. What you put out in the atmosphere is what you get back.
That's two
right?
of us. Yep.
So if you put negative things out in the atmosphere, then negative things is what you're going to get back. So now this mind shift is saying, let's put positive things out into the atmosphere. So what we're doing is we do a little technique, and I'll give it to your audience. I ask everyone to get 10 index cards, or you can get a sheet of paper and you cut them up to little 10 squares. And I want you to write 10 affirmations on them. I want you to write your own affirmations, not the affirmations that I give you, but ones that you've come up with yourself, because it means more to you if you have something that's significant to you other than what I tell you to write. So, and you take these index cards and you place them all over your house, places that you go every day. You know, on the bathroom mirror, by the refrigerator. We all go to the refrigerator, the cabinets, the TV. I mean, I even put one on the side of the commode, right? Because you got to go there every day on the wall.
That's right.
So what you do is you say these affirmations twice a day. So the record says when you do something for 21 days, it has you form a habit, right? Well, if 21 days is supposed to have you form a habit, just imagine what 30 days would do. So I ask people to do these affirmations for 30 days, once in the morning, once in the evening, and then after 30 days, contact me on my Facebook or whatever and let me know how it did for you. But what you're doing is now you're speaking the laws of reciprocity in the atmosphere. So you're saying, I am powerful. I am beautiful. I am fantastic. I am gracious. I am wonderfully made. I am worth it. I am somebody.
That's right.
And my most favorite is I must be willing to do the things today in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have. And good things are supposed to happen to me. So you can say, I am healed. I am whole. You know, whatever it is that you want to come into your life, whatever positive things that you want to bring into your life, if you say these affirmations every day for 30 days, not only are you saying them out your mouth, but then you begin to feel them. Then you begin to speak them up out of your stomach. Like they come out of your body, and your body just trembles as you say them. And then your life begins to change, because now you're not just saying it. You're feeling it. You're thinking it. You're believing it. And now you're walking in it and owning it. And you're saying, I am healed. I am no longer allowing the pain from my past to hold me in bondage. I am ready to play big. I am ready to move from this place of being stuck. I have moved. You know, you're not saying I'm ready. You have moved on. You have taken one step. See, that's what, when I designed my company, it was called One Step Beyond You. That's because you started on the first step by going through the 7 techniques of healing. And now you're ready to move on into your next level. And you are speaking it out into the atmosphere, what you want and what you want the atmosphere to bring back to you. And so that's all part of inspiration. You have to continue to inspire yourself. You have to continue to change the way you think about things. Don't keep thinking negative. Don't allow things to keep holding you back. Don't let your limitations hinder you, but always take one step beyond you until all the things that you want into your life.
Now, that's interesting, because the other night I was on Pam's, we were talking about Pam a couple of minutes ago. I was on Pam's video podcast, Get Out There and Get Known, and she and I had a wonderful time. And one of the questions she asked me was, have I read all the books of all my various guests? And what I shared with her was, I don't usually get the opportunity to read the book till after the interview. Before the interview, I skim it for my research, but I don't get a chance to read it all from cover to cover until after the interview. Now, I'm saying all that to say, whenever I see the titles, I haven't read the book yet. I've skimmed it. But when I look at your titles, I was thinking inspire, and maybe it does ultimately. I was thinking inspirement, once you've gone through those first 4 steps or so, you now need to help somebody else who's going through. And I think you do that part and partial by doing what you do. But from what I heard from you just now, you wouldn't know what you're really doing is inspiring yourself through the affirmations and your word choice and everything. And I could not agree with you more. If you notice, when I read your bio, you kept hearing me say, I am, and I kept hearing you say, whatever you put behind those words become your reality. Whatever you put behind the words, I am. That's why you are, and I laugh because people, we tease, those in my age group. I said, you will never hear me say I am old. You're not going to hear me say that. You're not going to hear me. You're not going to, I've stopped saying you make me sick. I stopped saying you're a pain in my behind. I stopped saying words like that because our bodies listen to every word we say. And just like you said, whatever you put out there, yes, it will come back. Words are extremely, matter of fact, even unspoken words, thoughts, they are just as powerful. You just didn't say them. So what I'm catching, or what I'm gleaning from you talking about chapter 5, inspire, is you're going to have to do some things to inspire and encourage yourself.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So now we're getting to need and then growth. Number 6 is need. Number 7 is growth. So we've healed, we've educated, we've taken some action, we've took a leap of faith, we're inspiring ourselves, and now number 6 is need. What's that about?
So need is your needs have changed when at the beginning of this process. Right? Your needs have changed. So now in the beginning, educate, right? Educate basically told you what you needed at that point. But now your needs have changed. So chapter 6 means it's time to reevaluate and reassess what you need. At this point now, you might, like, if you've joined the One Step Beyond You group coaching program, for example, you've gone through it, you did your healing process. Now, what do you need? Do you need to stay in the program for a longer time, right, because you need additional steps? Or do you need something else? You've had your therapist that has worked with you. Do you need a different therapist? Do you need 2? Did you find out that the one coach is not doing it for you or the one coach has helped you get to this point and you're like, wow, okay, now I'm ready to play bigger and I need to bring on 2, 3 more coaches, right? So this is the reassess and reevaluate. What do you need? Where are you at this point in your life, in this point in your process? What new things that you need? And so that's simply what the reassess and reevaluate is. And we go into more into detail, of course, on how to reevaluate and reassess it. And then chapter 7, growth. This is where you look back over your journey and you see how far you've come. You don't look back over your journey so that you can dwell in it or be sad about. You just like, wow, I've came a long way.
Right.
Man, God really protected me and saved me because I could have been strung out on drugs. I could have still be on the pole, or I could still, and all the things that I've learned while I'm going through this process. So what I'm going to do in my growth process, because I am now whole and healed, now I am going to reach out and help someone else. Because one of my favorite coaches has said to me, and he still says it, each one teaches one.
All right. Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought 5 was about, but it's 7. Okay. Now, so that's where you're now going out and you're helping somebody else. And that's what I was saying earlier about all of our experiences while we're going through them. We think it's about us, but the truth is God is preparing us to be able to help somebody else.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because what I've learned is when I first had to share my story, it was so much pain in it, right? I was hurt and broken because I go really into detail about how, that my neighbor touched me. I go into detail about my abandonment issues. I've even shared with people that I was a stripper, on down to being in a 10-year abusive marriage, on to being in relationship after relationship that was hurt, pain, and broken. When I would have to talk about these things, I would stare off into space. I mean, like you would lose me. I would go into another place, another space in my mind, going back to that traumatic experience. But what I learned is once you're healed, now you're able to share that story with somebody else to help them get to where you are, right? So to help them get to their place of healing. So the saying goes, you've heard it, hurt people, hurt other people.
Correct.
But guess what? Healed people help heal other people.
That's a new spin. I like that. Hurt people, heal people, heal people. Hey, I like that. That's absolutely right. Now that's a reframing, or that's taking, or a shift, or paradigm shift there. Because, matter of fact, that's the first time I ever thought about it when you just said it. Heal people, heal people. Just like because again, the hurt people is negative, and you just turn that into a positive. Those who are healed can now help heal somebody else. Absolutely. Yeah. See, this is the thing, and listening audience, I need you to understand this. In many instances, not all, but in a lot of instances, you will get the author of a book who have not experienced what he or she is writing about. But in Erica's case, she can write with the passion. I even hear it in your voice, and talk about this with the passion, because this is not just a topic that she wrote about. This is something that she lived. And because she lived it, she can now write it and speak about it in a way that somebody who did not live it can't. So Erica's not telling you what she thinks. Erica is telling you what she knows. Am I correct with saying that?
Yes, sir.
Because there are sometimes when I'm talking to people, I might be telling them what I think about the subject. And then there are other times, and I'm very clear on that when I tell them that. Look, I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. And I know it based on what happened to me or what I've gone through. There is a big difference. I mean, it's one thing for somebody who's married to be talking to somebody who's single, telling them to do this, that, and the other. And it's another thing for another single person to tell them that. Like, it's kind of hard for a married person to be trying to counsel a single person. It's like, yeah, but you got your spouse. Yeah, but you got your significant other. Yeah, but you get to do this, that, and the other. So it's kind of hard. But now somebody else that's single is going through what you're going through and can now coach you. Or it's the same thing as somebody on drugs. You know, it's for me, since I've never been a drug addict, I've never done drugs. It's one thing for me to try to coach someone who's an addict. But now for someone who's been an addict, and like you just said, who is healed from it, and now they're talking to another totally different experience. So when Erica's coming at you in this book with 7 techniques of healing and how she overcame abuse, she's not telling you what she's thinking. She's telling you what she knows, because you just heard her say the stripper and looking off into the distance and being touched by the neighbor. And she's not telling you what she thinks. And this is not fiction. She's telling you what she knows. So let's go into it, because I can understand where depression would come from. Because see, this is the thing about depression. People honestly think that people are choosing to be depressed. And the reason I can speak to depression is I've seen depression. Me personally have not been depressed, but I have seen depression. I've seen folks curling up under covers and laying on the floor and just being a totally different person suffering from depression. Like they go into a darkness. They go into a place that they can't, like they're trying to dig their way out of a tunnel that no matter how much they try, it's not getting lighter, it's getting darker. Mm-hmm. And to somebody on the outside looking at it, they're like, just laugh, just smile, just do this, just do that. Like, no, it's deeper than that.
Depression comes in all type of forms.
Correct.
You know, you have depressive episodes to where there's people that actually needs to be chemically medicated so that they can stay focused. And then you have others that are depressed based upon their situation. Right. Meaning that, you don't have enough money to pay the bills. Right. So how many people go into a depressive episode because they don't have enough money?
Correct.
So when you go into this depressive episode, your brain can't function enough to think about there's actually a solution for you to fix not having enough money, or there's actually a solution that you can work around to go in to get food to put on the table.
Absolutely.
And so what happens is when you're in this depressive state of mind, you're zoned out. You are, as you said, balled up on the couch or in the bed. You don't come out of the bed for the house for days. You stay closed off to the rest of the world. And then all of a sudden, one day, you just snap back and you're like, okay, I can go and focus on and deal with things in the world.
That's correct.
Then until another thing happens, which i.e. is your trigger. So when you're going through depressive episodes, you need to understand and ask yourself, what was the trigger that caused you to go into that depressive episode that particular time? So if you're keeping in a journal, because that's what we all talk to people about, writing in a journal, and you go back through your journal and you look and see what was the one trigger every time that you went into these depressive episodes that caused you to go into these depressive episodes, then those are things that we're able to address and help you fix and help you heal from. But the key thing is identifying what has caused you to go into this depressive episode.
Correct.
In the beginning, you cannot do anything about it because you don't have the tools, the strength, the knowledge to know how or to how to fix it. You don't even have the team or the people to even show you how to fix it. But my best advice to anybody who deals with depression is open up your mouth and ask for help.
Correct.
I don't know if you're going through depression if you don't tell me.
Correct.
There's no way for me to know. I don't know because you're in the house by yourself for 5 days. I don't live in your house with you. So even if it's just one time that you muster up enough courage, so this is me speaking to you guys, asking you to muster up enough courage to open up your mouth to somebody, whether it's your mother, your friend, your family, a coach, a counselor. Open up and say, hey, my name is Erica, and I deal with depression. Can you help me? That is the first step that you need to take. And God will begin guiding you and open up the doors for the rest of the steps that is going to help you come up out of those depressive episodes. Second key thing is when you start going through the process, your coaches, your counselors, such as myself and many other proven counselors, they're going to give you some tools and techniques that you can use. These tools and techniques, you're going to use them for the rest of your life, okay? Because I don't care if you became a successful millionaire. Life just not stop happening. Life is going to find a way to slap you, punch you around, no matter what you try to do to stop it. Life is life. You can't control life. But what you can control is how you handle and how you deal with life. So they're going to equip you with the proper tools and techniques that you're going to need to use. So when life comes knocking at your door, now you can stand there with your feet planted firmly on the ground with your tools and techniques that you have inside of you so that you can deal with it, and it will not cause you to sink back down into a deep depression. You're able to catch it like early on as it's setting. You're at it. You've learned what you need to do to stop a full depressive episode before it takes full effect over you.
And see, again, going back to your book, I mean, it's kind of like sort of the same process in terms of, I heard you say what triggers it. And not only should the person who's dealing with the depression understand it, people who deal with a person who has depression need to understand the triggers, because other people could be a part of the trigger.
Correct.
So they need to understand what those triggers are as well. But it's back to what you were saying in terms of you gotta identify it. You gotta understand
Correct.
it. You gotta educate yourself. You gotta hear. You gotta take some action. I mean, the same steps apply, to depression or what have you. In terms of now us being in this pandemic, I mean, have you been hearing of folks or seeing folks or coaching folks that are really losing it because of this pandemic?
Yes, I even wavered. But yes.
I know that's right.
So let me tell you, at the beginning of the pandemic, right, you remember the pandemic was only supposed to be about 15 days.
Right.
And when we first started the pandemic, I'm sure you did it, and everybody listened to me did this. We started eating. We started eating uncontrollably, right? You just had nothing to do but go to the refrigerator. Well, that is a form of depression. That
Correct.
is a form of, like, trying to figure out what to do. So the only thing you know how to do is eat, right? And then everybody started putting all these pounds on. So what I did was, and it helped me as well, I got up one day, I did a live smoothie video on Facebook. And then that same day, I did a live 15-minute exercise video, dancing in the living room, exercising. So then I did it the next day. So then my mom calls me and she says, hey, that was great. You got some smoothie tips for me? I enjoyed dancing around the living room. That just really boosts my spirit. I challenge you to do it through the pandemic. I was like, you got it, Mom. Pandemic is only 15 days. Well, God dog it, the doggone pandemic went on for 60 days. I ended up going live on Facebook for 60 days and doing dancing around away the pound. So simply my message had become to people, put the cookies down and dance away the pounds. And so that helped so many people to deal with their minds, right? Because your mind was idled and you had nothing to do. It brought you movement into your house. So for at least 15 minutes of every day, you got off of that couch, you put that food down, and you danced to the music that I had going on, and we exercised at the same time. We just danced away the pounds. And so the pandemic has gotten a lot of people, and the people that is, I wouldn't say that's hurt the most, but that were affected financially, the small business people who had to close or they didn't have enough money through the pandemic, like they had to really, really deal with, wow, man, I'm losing my business. I'm losing my company. And the message is simply this. Yes, you lost your business. Let's face your reality, right? Because we're big on facing our reality. But when God closes one door, He always opens another door, and it's greater and bigger than the door that was closed. And so as you go through this pandemic and you have to deal with life, you have to deal with your reality, just remember that you're going to make it through this. And when you come through this, you're going to go on top. You're going to make it on top. So now what you should have been doing is you should have been reading. If you don't like to read, put an audio book on. You should have been, if you are a speaker, practicing your speaking. If you're writing a book, your book should have been complete because you had plenty of time. So the pandemic, although it slowed us down, but it also provided time for you to get greater, bigger, and better. So in 2021, look at all the things that you're going to be able to unleash. And if you look at it that way, in a positive aspect, you didn't have time to focus about I can't go hang out with my friends, I can't go to the mall, I can't do this. What you did was you spent time strengthening you, loving you, learning you, growing, spending time with your children, developing them, teaching them, growing and loving them. You know what I mean? And actually becoming one with your spouse, just being a better you all around.
Now, along those same lines, because a part of the pandemic, a lot of us have lost loved ones. I mean, I've lost immediate family members. I've lost colleagues. I've lost church family members. There are a lot of folks in the listening audience who've lost parents or uncles and aunts and cousins. What do you say to them?
Well, what I say to them is they are in a place where they, call home. That is their new home. God has carried them home to, that they are safe and you don't have to worry about them in pain and hurting anymore. And so as for you have to go through your healing process.
Correct.
There's no way around it.
Correct.
You have to go through the 7 techniques. You have to go through the healing process. You can't just say, okay, my family passed away, you cried today, and then tomorrow you on to something else. Because you're going to digress, and you're going to come back to this point that we talked about in the beginning.
Correct.
You're going to have to heal. So you really have to go through your healing process, step by step by step by step, so that when you get to the end of the process, you're always going to be like, dang, I miss my loved one. But now you're going to be able to say, but I'm blessed that they're in a better place. I'm blessed that they're not suffering anymore. And that's where you would get if you go through the healing process. I lost family members too. I've lost 3 family members in one family, in one family alone, and it was hard. However, you still have to go through the healing process. There's just no way around it. You can't just grieve and not, go through your process. Crying is part of your process.
Correct.
Screaming is part of your process.
Correct.
Getting it out is part of your process. Saying, I'm hurt. And like, if you got to scream to the top of your lungs, that is part of your process. But what you cannot do is hold it in.
Correct.
Not say, I got to be strong for my kids. I got to be strong. Because what you're doing is what you said in the beginning, Mark. You're letting it fester in the inside of you. And it's growing, and it's growing. And baby, when you blow, I don't want to be there.
I know that's right. and at some point, one way or the other, you are going to blow, whether it be physically, whether it be mentally, whether it be in depression, where actually you don't blow, you actually go the other way. You curl up and, almost like a basket case. One way or the other is going to manifest itself. And that's the whole point. And that's why a book like this is so important. I was looking on Facebook as folks were responding back, and I see one of the listeners says she can't wait to read your book. But by all means, my guest this morning is Erica Lynn. The book that we've been discussing is 7 Techniques of Healing, How I Overcame Abuse. Now, she's talking about abuse, but these techniques will work, as we said, for the pandemic, if you've lost loved ones, whatever, abandonment issues, whatever issues you may have, if you go through this process, it's a protocol, it's a process. And see, I'm as much as I always say I hate systems, I am very systematic. As much as I don't think I am, and I always say, oh, I hate systems, but the truth of the matter is I am very systematic. I mean, you give me a process like this, I'll follow it to the letter. Like, okay, step 1, step 2, I really will. But that's what she's giving you here. She's giving you a tool. She's giving you a toolbox. She's giving you a roadmap. She's giving you a GPS. And as she just said, go through the healing, because so many people don't want to go through the healing. They don't. They think that makes them seem weaker because they try to go through the process. But the truth of the matter is you're going to have to go through the process. There is no getting around that. Otherwise, it's going to manifest in some type of an illness, and now you're going to have another something to deal with. You get hit. You get hit with a diagnosis from the doctor that's negative. Now you got a whole nother thing to deal with. So if you can head that off by dealing with some issues now, by all means, do it. Erica, at this point, what I do is I shut the mic off and you have the opportunity to promote your business, your websites, your books. You can say anything with the exception of the dollar amount, because at that point, when folks get in touch with you, you can work that out with them, whatever it is. So anything short of whatever the thing or the service costs, anybody you want to shout out, feel free to do that. I'm going to turn the mic off for the next few minutes and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I want to tell everybody, no matter what you're going through in life, you must go through the process. And when the process gets tough, remember 2 things: never give up and never quit. So even if you want to give up, you want to throw in the towel, you're like, oh, my God, it's driving me crazy. I don't want to do this. I don't want to face my reality. It hurts too bad. Always remember what I said: never give up, never quit. And if you guys want, after you do the 30 days affirmations, I would love to hear from you guys. I want to know how you've changed, how you've grown, how positive you become. So reach out to me on Facebook, which is Erica Lynn Speaks. You can message me and say, hey, Erica, I heard you on the Marc Medley show, and I've done this, and it worked phenomenal for me. And that's great. And I want to continue to communicate with you and continue to guide you. So I am on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and I have the YouTube channel, which is all Erica Lynn Speaks. Now, for those of you all who want to work with me, you can go right to my website, which is ericalynnspeaks.com. That's Ericalynnspeaks.com. And on the Erica Lynn Speaks website, I'm giving you guys a free tool, a free download. It's a free gift from me. 3 steps to learn how to overcome your weakness and become the best you, to deal with the things that's inside of you. These 3 steps is the best gift that I can ever give you. And if you all want to enter into my programs, of course, I have a one-on-one coaching program, but we have the One Step Beyond You group coaching signature program. It is a phenomenal program. What you'll get out of the program is the best results that you've ever seen. You're going to get an opportunity to be a part of the live bi-weekly Q&A sessions where you can ask me, Coach Erica Lynn, anything that you want to ask. However, I'm going to bring in some of the best proven professionals in this live Q&A that is going to provide tools and techniques that's going to help you just totally accomplish and deal with all of the things that you're dealing with. So I'm going to bring in some anxiety coaches, development coaches, relationship experts, and then one of my favorites, the PR and branding specialist. She's going, as you say, hey, when I told you, let's play bigger than you ever played before, so I'm going to bring in people that's going to help you play bigger than you've ever played before. In addition to that, the 7 Techniques of Healing online group course is in there. The course is phenomenal. If you think the book is great, going through the actual course, oh, my God, it's going to blow you away. And then we have a live forum where you're going to get an opportunity to meet all of the other members that's in the program. So now you have a support system, not from just me, not from the other coaches, but all of the other people that's in the program. So they're going to support you. They're going to share their stories that's going to uplift you. And then they're going to provide opportunities for you that you didn't even see coming for yourself. Of course, there's so much more that's in the program. I'll be here all day trying to tell you. But all you have to do is go to ericalynnspeaks.com today and start with your free download, and so that you're on your way through your healing process and your healing journey. So please connect with me. I want to hear from you guys. tell me, hey, I came from the Marc Medley show, so that I can give you guys my extra special attention. The Marc Medley special.
There you go. You'll get the Marc Medley special. There you go. So get in touch with Erica in any of those ways. Like now, it's real easy to get to her website, ericalynnspeaks.com. And just like it sounds, ERICALYNN speaks, SPEAKS.com. Well, Erica, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you this morning. You made my job easy. Because every now and again, I will get a guest that really makes me have to work and work hard. But you made my job easy because you talked during your answers. I mean, when I get a guest and I ask them a question and they just say yes, no, that makes me have to work. But see, I have to work with you. You explained yourself extremely well. And as I said to the listening audience, Erica's not telling you what she thinks. She's lived it. She's experienced it. And you cannot let's put it this way. I'm going to share another one of my pastor's isms, if you will. I don't know if they're his original ones or not. But one of the things he shares with us is experience is the best teacher, but you don't have to learn from your experience. In other words, you can learn from the experiences of others. And Erica's opening up herself and her experiences to you so that you can learn something from them, so that you don't have to experience them for yourself or go through some of the things that she went through. So why not go out and get your copy of it? It is available on Amazon. I see you have it in a paperback version and a Kindle version. They can go there and you can get the book there. For Barbara Tarpley, who made it very clear to me, she sent it to me on Facebook as well as in my text that, Erica, she was definitely going to get your book and could not wait to read it. So, Barbara, after you get it, please let me know about it. Please let me know your thoughts. And any of you, anyone else in the listening audience, again, if you go to Amazon, as a matter of fact, I'm on the site right now. There's a Kindle version. There's a paperback version. 7 Techniques of Healing, How I Overcame Abuse to Live My Authentic Life. The author is Erica Lynn. Again, Erica, thank you for rising early with me. Pam Perry, thank you. Pam and we talked the other night, and I told her there are 2 publicists that are golden with me. Pam is one, Nikki Wood is the other. Those 2, anybody they send me, they got immediate invite. And because they haven't let me down. None of the folks they've sent, including you this morning, none of you have let me down. So, Pam, if you're listening or if you will be listening in the archives, thank you so much. And, keep sending them over. And this is the other thing, Erica, any of my guests who come on, I always give them an open invite. So if you do some more work or you have another book come out, it's just a matter of either you or Pam getting in touch with me saying, hey, I got another book out. You might ever come back if we get your schedule.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. I appreciate the invitation. I'll take you up on that.
All right. I'll look forward to it. I'm
going to be working on some new stuff.
All right. That works. Well, I'll tell you what, have a wonderfully blessed day, week. And, if I don't talk to you before, I'll be in touch with you on email because I want to mail the links to you. But if not, have a wonderful holiday season as well. Great Christmas.
You as well. God bless you.
God bless you as well. Thank you so much. Take care.
You're welcome.
All right.